What's going on, everyone? It's your girl, Rebecca Ruber, here with Inside the Ring, and today on the show, we have Austin Emma Williams and Prince Ziggy here. So Austin will be fighting on the Undercard April 30th at Madison Square Garden for the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano fight. How you feeling?
I feel great. I'm going for my first title at 11-0. I've only been fighting for 6 years, so this is a great testament to my abilities, a great testament to all my hard work. And I'm just ready to put on a show and do something that's going to really make me be on the radar as a middleweight fighter.
When did you pick up your first pair of gloves and why?
August 25th, 2015 was the first time I picked up a pair of gloves. And I did it because I was kind of at a loss for what I wanted to do. I always knew I was a great athlete, but I knew I didn't want to do team sports anymore. I was always presented team sports growing up, basketball, football, soccer, things like that, but I never got presented a solely individual sport. And I, just had the realization that I would thrive in something like that, and I always loved to fight my whole life. So once I put on those gloves August 25th, I just knew this is my thing.
Well, was there a specific moment in your career where you realized that this is what you wanted to do professionally?
Oh, from the first day. Like the first day I started, actually the first gym I walked into, I walked in and told them I want to be the champion of the world. So from the beginning, it's always been that I wanted to do this at the highest level. I didn't never go in saying like, oh, maybe let's get a couple, fights in and I leave. I came in with the idea to be the best fighter ever.
What's been the biggest transition from going from amateurs to pros?
The biggest transition is just learning how to slow things down. Actually, your first couple fights as a pro are kind of similar to amateur fights. You got that no headgear and smaller gloves, but you still got a high pace. You got to get the fight in and out. You got to. It's kind of the same as amateur fight. But now going to these 10-round fights, you get to play chess a lot more, and it's not speed chess. You really get to dissect and break down a fighter. And I think that's the difference. Well,
speaking of your professional fight, this is going to be, in my opinion, your biggest fight to date.
Yeah.
Your opponent, as I believe, has 17 wins, 7 by way of knockout.
Yeah.
So how have you prepared differently this fight camp than you have for previous?
What I ended up doing was just really building a game plan around him and around the things he loves to do, and hopefully going in to negate those things. At a certain point, fighters don't make many changes. He's 30 years old. He's been a pro since I was in high school. So I know even if he comes with a little, seasoning that I haven't seen, pretty much the guts of who he is set in stone. And we just dissected those. My coach, Kevin Cunningham, is always great putting together game plans. And now I'm just execute the game plan and go get a major, spectacular knockout.
Well, let's talk about the main event, Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. How do you have that fight going?
I actually love both of those fighters. I got the fight on the undercard of both of them. Well, actually, neither one of them were the headliners of the show, but I got the fight on the same cards as both of them. Katie Taylor, when I was on Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz, #1. And then I got the fight with Amanda when I fought on the Miami show with Jake Paul.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was a great, or Tevin Farmer guy. But that was a great show, and I think I got Amanda Serrano. I like her. I like that she's a little more gritty. I think in the last few Katie Taylor fights, just being honest, I've seen kind of a slight decline.
Okay.
But I think it's Amanda Serrano's night. I hate to have to pick, but I mean it's boxing, and if she proves me wrong, I won't be mean or sad to say she proved me wrong.
In boxing, nothing's ever guaranteed, right? Last year we saw it was like the year of the underdogs with so many B-sides.
Oh my goodness! Last year, I mean, like Anthony Joshua Ruiz, that was one of the biggest. That was one of the biggest upsets of all time. So like, I know anything can happen.
Now, before we get into this little segment I like to do with you, I have one more question. On the West Coast, we got Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. What do you have for that fight?
I think Shakur is going to win that fight pretty easy. Just when it comes down to skills and, I don't see. And Valdez is coming up in weight to fight him, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see him being able to deal with the skills of Shakur Stevenson. And I'm not like super excited for that fight, but I just really don't. I've never seen that fight and said, "Oh, I think Valdez has a shot." I just don't think he has a shot.
Okay.
So And nothing against Valdez. He's a great champion, but I just think it's tailor-made for Shakur in my eyes.
Yeah, Shakur Stevenson has a ring IQ that I feel like you don't see too many professional fighters still have to this day.
Exactly. And, growing up, going through the amateurs at the level that he did, I don't think Valdez is going to propose anything that he hasn't seen before. So that's just my honest opinion. What you think about it?
I also have a bias because I'm from Jersey, but Shakur Stevenson for sure.
Yeah.
I do believe that he has some of the best ring IQ that we have in this current new generation of boxing.
Yes, definitely.
Now, real quick before we get started, on my show I have a segment called Unboxing the Boxer.
Okay.
So, we have this little box here that has a bunch of random questions. Okay. You're going to answer 3 of them. You pick them out, you read the question, and you answer it as honestly as you can.
If you could be ringside for any fight ever in history, which one would it be? Sugar Ray versus Tommy Hearns.
Okay, I like the classic. Why that one specifically?
Because it was just a whole different level of excitement. I mean, the drama show, it had different levels to the fight. It was like a movie almost. So I would love to see that fight. That's outstanding. I think that's one of the best fights in history. What's one country you love to visit? Is Iceland a country?
Yeah, it's a country.
Okay. Yeah. I love Iceland because Iceland is called Iceland, but it's green and beautiful. I like stuff that contradicts itself.
Well, then you'd like to visit Greenland because Greenland's mostly ice.
Yeah, but no, I don't want no ice. This cold out here, this is more than enough for me. No, leave me alone with that ice.
No.
So we gonna go ice.
Well, you're from Texas, so.
I'm from Texas. Yeah, it's
you
hot.
Like the warm.
I love the warm.
All right, last question.
If you can go back to your 15 or 13?
13. My handwriting's horrible.
13-year-old self, what advice would you give? I would say keep doing what you're doing. Because when I was 13, I was begging for an opportunity, and my dad was always telling me, hey, just do what you got to do and your time is going to come. And I followed that advice. I followed it. So if I can go back and talk to that 13-year-old, I'd tell him, hey, do what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. Don't get too disappointed about anything in life. Your time is going to come.
I love that. I think that's a great note to end on. If you have any socials you want to shout out, feel free to do that.
Ammo Williams, everything. Ammo Williams.
Great. Thank you so much, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you, Rebecca.